Hey everybody, Chris here. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Dogecoin entry points. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when new videos come out as well as when I do live streams. And we were live on Thursday afternoon talking about the crypto market, the overall crypto market and its pullback, not Dogecoin. That's right. I was trying so hard not to say Dogecoin, but I couldn't help myself. I was trying to make a point though that Dogecoin couldn't help itself because the whole crypto market was getting slammed. Bitcoin, ETH, and others were pulling down, and all of the reasons why. So we're going to get there. I'm going to show you those reasons, and we're going to be looking at entry points if you still believe we're in a bull cycle. So let's get into it. Let me show you the charts and the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. We start here looking at the Dogecoin chart. We're just over 22.5 cents. That's right, 22.5 cents as we post this green candle early this morning because the PCE inflation numbers that came out were as expected. So that's one thing off the list, right? Fear of higher inflation not happening right now. So we have a little recovery happening. We were at 22.5 cents overnight, and this morning we saw this pullback, and the pullback was like fear of bad numbers coming in. No bad numbers, market goes back up. Where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin's at 109.5, 109.5 right here. I thought that if we were really going to be bullish, Bitcoin was going to come back up 111, 112 number, and this is what we charted out during the live stream. If we had a real V-shaped recovery, well, that didn't happen. Bitcoin just kind of came sideways, and of course also dropped early this morning before the PCE numbers, and now back up. So very similar to ETH as well, same kind of structure. So that's where we are right now as we begin. Overall, what's going on? Crypto in a slump. 3 reasons: Bitcoin, Ethereum, yes, and Dogecoin are struggling. And yeah, we're under pressure a bit as we see a decline. Of course, right, the leverage cascades. But why cryptos aren't? Government shutdown fears hit sentiment. Of course, you guys first heard that from me a couple weeks ago. I was doing this foreshadowing of this coming government shutdown, and I'll show you a little bit, just a minute, of where that stands. But yeah, it's a big deal, still a big deal. So you get mass liquidations amplifying the decline, and we've got this options expiry. So billions of dollars in Bitcoin and ETH options unsettling the market, and that's today. Today we're having, on Friday, this options expiry, and so that throws like a little fear in the market too that there's going to be this massive selling happening, and that usually happens in the afternoon on Friday. So during the Friday afternoon live stream, which is also AMA Friday afternoons, have a little drink, right? So everybody get ready, right? Have your drinks ready, sit back, enjoy the live stream. Make sure you're subscribed, you got your notifications on too, so you know when I go live, because sometimes on Fridays I start a little earlier. We'll see how my afternoon goes, and otherwise it's going to be 4:00 p.m. East Coast time we will start, but I may start a little bit early. We'll see how that plays out, but that's good. Now I had posted on my channel, oh, it's the Queen of Doge. Look at that, Queen of Doge. Shout out to the Queen of Doge. Why did crypto drop today? New weekly jobless claims came in. All right, this was yesterday. Gross domestic product, or GDP, got revised higher. So the U.S. Fed Reserve, the chances of a rate cut in October dropped 10%, was still at 85%, and I think it's ticked up. I saw this morning at about 87. So, but that was yesterday, and that's when we had the drop. Bitcoin options expiry, just talked about that. We've got the U.S. Department of War Secretary Hegseth called all generals, admirals, military leaders from all over the world to come to Quantico for a meeting next week. That's the Department of War. What are they going to talk about? Nobody knows, right? What's going to happen? Is this a bad thing? Is this so there's some dark clouds about that. There's the looming U.S. government shutdown. And over $1 billion of long leverage trades liquidated. We looked at all those heat maps yesterday. We'll look at them again during our Friday live stream. But the market makers may have had something to do with that, right? But again, all of this, and my point was, Dogecoin isn't able to hold certain levels. When people say that, and I'm just like, nope, today had nothing to do particularly with Doge. It was an overall crypto market dump. Dogecoin didn't have a chance. Well, so what do we got today? Well, Trump just rejected a meeting with Democrats, raising the odds of a U.S. government shutdown. Now, why would he not have a meeting with them? He just wants them to do what they're supposed to do, right? You shouldn't have a meeting with them. This isn't a negotiation, right? It's like, just don't throw a bunch of other crap into the bill that you need just for a continuing resolution, just to pay the government what you should pay them, and not throw in all the stuff like free health care, right, for all, the illegal migrants. We shouldn't be giving them free health care, in my opinion. But, they throw all the stuff in there that has nothing to do with just funding the government, which is what it should be. But markets don't like uncertainty. Short term, this could pressure Bitcoin and alts. And, but usually when the economy slows, the Fed might turn more dovish, which midterm could actually fuel a bullish wave toward crypto. So we could see that on the backside of the government shutdown. But until then, we're going to be in this position where we may have buying opportunities. That's right, more buying opportunities if you haven't bought already. The scarier it feels, the closer the reversal. Crypto isn't for the faint of heart. Fear often marks the bottom, and right now, fear and greed index is down to 28. Look at that, it's gone from 53 neutral last week, yesterday down to 44, today 28. And that's what the market looks like, right? Because all of these uncertainties. However, where are we going to go from here, right? We're still in the green. Bitcoin is still in the green, and Dogecoin is still in the green for the month of September. That's right, even Chris predicted a green month of September for Dogecoin, which goes against some of the trends in the past. But when we do have a green September, it is usually followed with green October, green November, green October, green November, even green Decembers. So this could be what we're looking at, but don't want to get ahead of ourselves. And I will be having an October price prediction video for Dogecoin coming on October 1st. So do watch for that. The Bitcoin's weekly and daily charts don't look too healthy right now. The MACD still bearish. The daily RSI is forming a bullish divergence. Sometimes the best move is to wait. The next breakout could be massive. Support down at 107 for Bitcoin. So are we going to dip a little lower to 107? We're in the 109s now. So that is a target for Bitcoin. Look, Zero says this is the final shakeout. Although I think next week, right? I still think next week, September 30th, the fear going into October 1st, that kind of thing is what prompts markets to pull back. Downside feels capped. Keep some tether bag ready in case things get messy. And this is what, again, I've been talking about this, right? Don't buy the green candles, right? Wait for those big red ones. Just a philosophy. It's Chris Pack's philosophy there. It makes zero sense to sell right now, right before what could be an explosive Q4. So, and he says, look, if Bitcoin goes below like 98,000, right, then maybe we are in a bear market. But everyone who believes that the top is not in, Q4 will melt faces, right? Melt faces. So, and with Zero, I have a good feeling this will play out as well. Zoom out, pick a lane. We can think about stabling if 98K breaks, but not before that. So that's the setup. And ETH liquidity grab, RSI oversold. The previous times we've had oversold RSIs on ETH, that was the big liquidity grab, and then ETH went higher. That was the big liquidity grab, ETH went higher. Here we go. ETH liquidity grab, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars of ETH leverage longs gone. What is the next move? Together with oversold RSIs. We were looking at the RSI on ETH yesterday, and it was much lower than we saw Bitcoin, Doge, and others. It was really ETH that was getting targeted by Binance and others, right? They're just targeting because there's so much leverage trading done on ETH still. That's what's happening. But look, crypto market just shed $460 billion in a week. So that's the total market cap went down. a reminder of how fast sentiment can turn. But what do we have, right? We've got fear in the market. Traders are cautious. But the altcoin season index is still at 69, meaning that we're still above that 50 level. So the alts are outperforming Bitcoin right now. Somewhat. We'll see what Bitcoin dominance shows. We'll look at that in just a second. But the majors are kind of pulling back, but there's still big volume of trading, right? The volume hasn't gone away. So we're not in a bear market. We wouldn't. That'll be when the volume goes away. That's when everyone goes away and goes into hibernation. That's not happening yet. This isn't a collapse. It's rotation under stress and fear. Fear creates opportunity, guys. Right there. Fear creates opportunity. So in past cycles, the exact setup played out. Sharp drawdowns trigger fear-heavy sentiment. Trading activity stays high, and liquidity rotates from the majors to the higher beta altcoins, and we're going to be watching for that to happen. This is not a cycle top, guys. Bitcoin dominance. Look, a little green candle on the Bitcoin dominance, but the overall structure, when you zoom out, is still a decline in Bitcoin dominance. Now, I think we're only going to get down probably to about this 50 level. I'm not seeing altcoin season full, like I'm saying a half altcoin season. I don't think Bitcoin is really going to get, outdone by the alts majorly this time around. So we're starting to see, a little bit of quieting from the bottoms. So for Bitcoin dominance, but we'll see whether the Ben Cowan strategy plays out or the CRISPEX, right? For Doge, Fear and Greed Index 33. We got a MACD bullish crossover happening right now. But overall, the Dogecoin chart, when you zoom out, right, and this looks all the way back to 2021, but we see it now, big run we had last November, 2024. But that turnaround we're seeing right now, this is still a very bullish chart. We're not seeing the bears like we saw in 2022. We are not there yet. We're not there yet. So Dogecoin, every recovery could be the bears' best entry. Well, not the bears. We see a bearish sentiment, but those that still believe, we're going to have these green months coming ahead. These are the entry points we're looking for, right? So Doge traded below a key bullish trend line support at 22.8. So if Dogecoin drops below 22, we're looking at 20.5. 20.5. So that is a swing low target that we're going to be looking for, 20.5. So those are the bearish signs. If you go below 20, anything below 25 in the 50-day simple moving average, that's where we are right now. The current price action are increasing bearish pressure, but we're starting to see these signs again, short-term turnarounds, MACD, right, and all these other things. But what about 22 cents? 22 cents is going to be that key support. If that breaks, we'll be looking at 20.5. That's going to be the swing low, 20.5. So we will watch for those going forward, entry points. And again, what's going to happen next week, right? Can bulls defend the 22 cents line before the next breakout? That's the key number, is 22 cents. We will be watching that. Right now we're at 22.6. So down here is 22. We'll be watching that line. And again, there's still some fear out there of these uncertainties, and it's hard for the bulls to truly take over until we get that behind us, which is why I talk about October, right, and next month. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think about entry points for Dogecoin, and are you still bullish for Q4 2025? Give the video a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.